Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You are welcome once again to this episode of tutorial on SAS and R. Today I will be talking about how to combine your dataset all within Excel before you can import. So in case you have multiple Excel files that you need to put together before you may want to import them into R or SAS. So I just would get started immediately by going to the data tab here, and right here on the left you have the get data. Then it could be from a workbook or from any of these sources, but this time we are getting the data set from a folder, okay, because that is the folder that contains all our files, okay. And now I'm going to paste the folder, the directory or the path to the folder here, or to the files here, and here is what comes up, okay. You have this window comes up, and then here under the what's it called, the heading name, you have all the different files that are in that folder, okay. I'm only interested in the first 5 files, so for that I'm going to eliminate this. In that case, for me to do that, I can just click on transform data here. That would bring up this query, this Power Query editor, and I'm just going to go into this, and then to the tab name, and then deselect. Okay, I'm going to unselect the folder, the file that I don't really want to include. Okay, I'm going to say okay. So the next thing is for me to now combine. Okay, you can do, there might be a ton of ways to really get this done, but you can just go ahead and click on this. Okay, you see combine files, so it opens the query. So the question is, if I need to combine the file, what template should I use? What example should I use? So Excel automatically chooses the first file, so you can choose any of the files you want. Okay, so let's just leave it at the default choice by Excel, and then let's click on this sheet to just have a preview of what the sheet looks like. Okay, then everything is fine here. I just click OK, then process the query and everything, evaluates everything, and now everything is done. Okay, now if you go ahead and check, you discover that I have all my sheets imported. All my files already combined. You see, this is the 5th file, Olympics 5. This is the Olympics 4. So these are the checks that I added earlier, and then Olympics 1. So now if you are satisfied with what you've seen here, or what you're seeing here, the next step is for you to just now load it. Okay, just a quick peek into what happens here. So these are the different steps that Excel took to arrive at this point. So if you go to the source, this is the first thing we did. This before we eliminate excuse me, before we eliminated this long file here that we don't need, and then a couple of other things. This is where we are right now. Okay, we are satisfied with what we've seen. The next step is for us to just click on this close and load. Okay, so you have different options. You can choose to okay, let's just click on this. You have different options here: load to table, to pivot table, report, pivot chart, or only create connection. So here we are going to just limit it to a table, and every other option should remain the same. Okay, every other we use the default values. Okay, so just click OK. Now it's going to generate that, and now we have all our data sets. I'll just close this, and then you have your data. If you go to the last row, that should be we have 100 rows of data set. Okay, now the next step is just to uncheck this, and then you have your data set. Then you can go ahead and save your data. Okay, when you save your data, and that's all combined, and then you can now may decide to import it into any of the software that you may want to process your data set. So I hope you enjoy this. So the step again is going to data, and then going to get data, and then coming to from file and go to folder where you have the data, and then let's click on it, and then you have to paste the folder here, the path to the folder. Here we use dataset that ends with a XLSX, so which is your Excel files. Okay, and then if you click OK, it's going to list all the datasets within that folder. Okay, and then you can choose any of the files you want, or remove the one you don't want by clicking on transform data, and then you have these Power Query editor come up, and then you can deselect or uncheck what you don't want here by clicking on these, and then we have this. Okay, okay, yeah. So and then you go ahead and just load. So when you load, okay, let's do it. Oh no, wait, I think we did it wrongly. We did it wrongly, yeah. Okay, maybe because I was using a different distance. Okay, so let me go ahead and just do it again. So on a clean sheet, because I already did. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to file, I'm going to go to folder, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, and then I'm going to load, say okay, and then I'm going to transform, do the transformation. In this step, I'm going to remove that file, the file. I'm going to uncheck it. Okay, everything is set right now. Okay, so I'll just combine the data set. Okay, and then when everything is said and done, you see, now I can just preview. It's going to use the first as a check. I preview if everything is okay. I click this, and then the Power Query editor still continues to query the data, and then kind of implement some of those things. It understands the data better than I am right now, so it kind of does some of those things internally. Okay, so now we have our data preview again, so we can just go ahead and load. Okay, so we don't want this now, so we've already done this. So we can just go ahead and check all these steps. So that's it. That's how to bring your data set, how to combine your data set into a single Excel file. Okay, so now assuming you have your data set that ends with a CSV. Okay, you have comma separated value. So the same thing applies if you want to do that, if you want to combine data set in that format. Okay, then you just go ahead and paste. I'm pasting this. I'm just going to clear this here, and then add CSV as okay. Then it's going to list those. Okay, now I have 5 files with CSV extensions. You see the extension here. I don't need to do any transformation here. The reason I went to transform the data was I actually wanted to remove one of those files that I don't want. So I just go ahead and say combine and transform data. Okay. Once that one is done, I have this. Okay, that is a little different from the previous. Okay, but this is still using the first file as a preview, or previewing the first file to just make sure everything is okay before you go ahead and say okay. When you say okay, the next thing that happens is the same thing like the previous. So this Power Query editor opens, and then you can do a lot of manipulations here. So let's just go ahead and just open this to see what happens here. So these are the things that happens here. You have to do table transform column types, and then expand table. If you write this, you're going to be getting the same result as this. Okay, and then it lists all the source name, which is where the file is coming from, or where the data is coming from, and then the ID. These are the data, these are the variable names. Okay, that is pretty much what it did, and then we are satisfied with what we're seeing here. We'll go ahead and say close and load. Okay, we'll say close and load. Then we have loaded our CSV file, and then we're done. We can just uncheck these, uncheck these. We have this, and they can go ahead and save it in that format, okay, for import into SAS or R. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video and you want us to do more, just go ahead, subscribe to our channel, like our video, and share our video, and comment freely if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Thank you.